Most of my professional teaching had been, well, all of it had been in public schools, but some of it had been in elementary schools, but most of it had been in high school special education. So I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to have a brand new experience. Well, it's kind of developed into a repeat of the last 20 years. But it's been a lot of fun. I volunteer twice a week at an organization called New Life for Women. It's a residential facility that is south of Geneseo. A church in Chicago came out to this area and looked around, and they saw this farm was for sale, and they asked the price, and they said they were given a price for this farm. They went back to Chicago, raised all of that money, came out the next week or so, and bought this farm. Now, this all happened about 8 or 10 years ago. And for about 5 years, they worked out there with groups of women in a rehabilitation program. They wanted to make sure that they were succeeding before the people in the area knew that they were there. So 2 or 3 years ago, they decided that things had gone quite well, so they thought that they could open up and let outsiders know what was going on. So they came to some of the churches and put notices on the bulletin boards that they would like some tutors, some teachers, some people to come and work with their ladies. They have from 6 to 14 ladies there at a time. They're there for about 6 months. It's a very rigorous program. They get up early in the morning. 2 people each day prepare breakfast. Well, they prepare all the meals for the day, but they prepare breakfast. They have their breakfast. They have certain tasks they have to do, cleaning, things like that. They have Bible class. Then they have a free time. They have other classes. Then they have lunch. And then they get a snack. And then they have more classes. They usually have free time from about 5 to 6. And during that time, of course, the 2 people that are preparing dinner for them. Then after their evening meal, they have their time for cleaning up and then some devotions and things like that. Then lights out and the new day starts after a good night's rest, hopefully. When I first went out there, I started with teaching them crafts because most of these people have been in all kinds of situations, either living on the street or in abusive situations or in other types of addictive situations that have kept them from succeeding at anything. And if any of you know the philosophy of special education and the philosophy of all education is positive, be a positive, teach positive values to people and teach them to succeed rather than to continue to fail. So I would do a small craft project with them, and that way they could complete the task during the time that I was there, and they'd have success. And they'd also have something to show for what they'd done. About a year and a half ago, they brought the group into a women's retreat at our church. And one of the projects that we were doing at our retreat was tying quilts that would be taken to the institutions that we support. Well, you know, Cunningham Children's Home and Leslie Bates Davis Neighborhood House. So we tied the quilts they helped us to tie the quilts at our retreat. And when they went back out to the farm, which is what we call it, the farm, they decided that they wanted to be able to do something like that. So I believe it was probably group 13 or group 14, they started making quilts. We make a quilt that's basically 50 by 70. It's big enough to put on their beds, or they can use it as a throw if they're sitting in a chair. And so they start, I cut the blocks for them. They sew the blocks, they lay their patterns out, they cut the block, they sew the blocks together. I bring them batting and a back, they put all it together. And usually I sew around it for them because we only have 3 sewing machines and there's quite a few people to use them, so they're usually waiting. When they get them fastened together, I take them home, sew around them, bring them back to them, they turn them and tie them. But then they have a big success that they have done at the time that they've been there. Well, with only 3 sewing machines, we need something else for them to keep busy because only 3 are working on that, then the other, however many it happens to be, and right now it happens to be the 9 others, need something to do. So a couple of groups before this one, I started teaching them to crochet. And so then now some of them have been really crocheting and really doing a lot of things. And then now this group, there are a couple that are really talented already in crocheting, so they've just crocheting up a storm, anything you can imagine. And now one of them has a Bible with a plastic canvas cover on that she did. So now they want to do that. So that'll be one of our next projects.